For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And what year is it? Because I could have sworn that we talked about this in peak DEI, which would have been like 2020, that they were replacing white voice actors with people in the proper ethnic group. And now we're doing it again, apparently for the new Avatar movie, not live action, but animated Avatar movie, which a lot of people are excited about. But now the casting director is out on Reddit saying that they're going to cast the adult versions of the gang from their respective racial groups, even though we're dealing with a fictional world.
Of course they are.
So
and weren't the original actors for some of these characters available?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are available. Some of them no longer act. I don't think the kid that played Aang, I don't think he acts anymore. But yeah, I'm sure that they would have gone back to work unless they were afraid of getting canceled. Because remember, in 2020, if you were a white person playing a non-white voice role, you were supposed to just step aside and let a sound-alike come in and take your job.
Right. And the thing is, I get replacing them. If you're replacing all the voice actors, I kind of understand it for the new movie. But basically what you're telling me is that you only can play the character that you have the same ethnicity as.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. This is a very interesting development. It's not going very well. In fact, Reddit isn't real happy with it. And I guess it came out, as far as I can understand, it came out on an AMA where they had the casting director, and she flat out said, yeah, we're going to cast from the right ethnic group this time, unlike the original, which the cast was mostly white. I mean, I'm going to be honest, it was. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to news.clownfishtv.com for more objective pop culture news. Yeah, so we can see the cast current year.
Some of them of
Avatar. And a lot of them are white, including Grey Delisle. And here's another shot of them. Cultural appropriation. They're cosplaying as their characters. Are they allowed to do that?
No.
They're
not. That's just insulting. No, look, it's just stupid. Like you have always said, we talked about this at length. I think that whoever is the right person for the character voice should be able to do the voice, regardless of, what ethnicity they are compared to the character.
Yeah.
They've done it for years with people that were playing characters that are very different from them. And it was fine. Nobody cared. And we've seen the problem with this and this mindset come back to bite some of the voice actors in the ass that were out there making those comments, and they were mad they couldn't get cast for any other roles because, they didn't fit the character. And it's like, well, you know what? That's what you wanted. Yeah.
In fact, Rook on X brought it up. Thanks, ProZD. ProZD, I think, was the one who was complaining. He was an Asian voice actor, and he was complaining about white people taking his roles or whatever. And then now, if I remember correctly, it backfired on him. And he's like, well, I'm not getting any calls now because they only want to cast me as an Asian guy. So basically,
you did that to yourself.
You did that to yourself. So basically what happened was, and here's where it's not fair, and we're gonna kind of get into the weeds here a little bit, is that some voice actors, I think Phil Lamar is actually one of them, and I actually like Phil Lamar. I like it. We talked to him a little bit at a convention before. I think he's an okay guy, but he's gone on record, I guess, as saying that he should be allowed to. He should only be allowed to voice, black characters as a black voice actor, but also he has access to all the other characters too, but it doesn't work in reverse. White people can't.
Yeah, no, it does. See, that's not, no, bullshit.
I don't agree.
Bullshit.
With that.
And that's what I'm tired of. And then they act like, the bigots and the trolls and all this stuff. And I'm like, this bigot and troll, quote unquote, was out there saying that, you should be able to play whatever character you fit the voice of, including the Asian guy who shot himself in the foot. I would have argued on his behalf saying, well, he should be allowed to play whatever character that his voice fits, doesn't matter what ethnicity they are. He's the one who pigeonholed and like you put himself in a corner. So you know what? And Phil Lamar can suck it because I don't care that we ate waffles or pancakes with you. That's a really shitty.
But we
thing
broke
to say.
bread with Phil Lamar, and
I know, but I'm just like, but then
Yeah,
you
it's
say
weird-
that.
it's
Like,
weird
I
to
can
hear
play
him
any character I
Yeah,
want,
'cause-
but you can't. It's like,
'cause
no.
people were calling him out. They're like, dude, you played white guys, you played Asian guys, you Samurai Jack. I'm like, why is it okay for you to play outside your race? And he was kind of like, well, because there aren't as many roles for. It's like, no,
No,
that's
bullshit. That's a lie. That's racism in reverse.
That is the beautiful thing about voice acting is you're not limited by your appearance. You're not even limited by your gender.
No.
So
girls play dudes all the time.
Yeah, I mean, especially women are playing like kids or more femme guys or whatever. It happens all the time, especially in anime. It's like very, very common. But you can play outside your race. You know, you're not typecast as long as the voice fits the character. That's really all that should matter. But during the peak of this insanity, we saw the voice actor for Cleveland get tossed overboard after 20 some years. And it started with the Apu documentary. We talked about that. Then everybody else was supposed to just follow suit. And then we had, I can't remember her name. Jenny, what's her name? She was on Big Mouth, whatever. She stepped away from her character too. Then it was like, okay, so now because a couple people did it, now we got to push everybody out.
Yeah, you have to demand it now. And it's bullshit.
Jenny Slate. And then that happened in the Disney parks too. They went back and the animals were racist. They went back and they re-recorded lines from like Lion King characters to make sure, even though most of the cast of the Lion King, weirdly, and I'm going to say it's kind of weird, weirdly were white. And you picked Matthew Broderick, who's like the whitest man on earth, to play. So that's a little weird, but still it's his voice, but they were going through the park and they were like changing all the voices of the talking animals because they didn't want to be racist. I'm like,
that was that Stories Matter stuff. They
they're
also
gone.
didn't want to be like, insensitive to animatronic chimpanzees, but that's a whole nother story. It's just, I get what they're saying, but it's ridiculous when it comes to voice acting. If it's regular acting, understandable. But we're talking about voice acting. You never see the person. It's fine. If they're the perfect person for the character, then let them do their job. So now they're under fire because basically the casting director just said that, we're just going to cast based on ethnicity.
Right. So this is, as I understand it, this is kind of what kicked it off because they had an AMA with the casting director, Jenny Ju, and this was a couple days ago. And they said, hey, thanks for the AMA. This is bookkeeper OK9677. I have a couple of questions regarding The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. Is there any reason why you guys decided not to bring the original cast back for the ultimate nostalgia trip? The characters' voices are just so iconic and distinct, I find it hard to really accept anyone else in their roles. Plus, promoting the movie with the original actors coming back would break the internet and truly feel like the original show is back.
They're right.
They're right. Is there anything you can tease about the new movie or when we'll get a first look? It's just been so dead silent that I don't even believe it's real until I see it. It's just my favorite franchise, so I'm very protective of it. Excited to see what the movie has in store, even though I'm not a fan of the recasting. I will try my hardest to be open-minded. I just really want to hear the original voice cast back together, voicing these characters one more time for their last hurrah. I think that is a very fair request, especially since even as of 2 years ago, the cast is getting back together. Most of the cast is getting back together and they're all about it. Right. So I don't think it was all of their decisions to step away. And this is what she said, Jenny Ju, casting director. I told Mike and Brian, that'd be the showrunners, that I understand how important it was to get this right for them and for the fans, because I'm a fan too. It's also my favorite IP. Then why the fuck would you recast everybody, Jenny?
I don't know. Yeah.
Why the fuck would you do that?
If people don't want to come back or they're unavailable or they're unable to do the role now or whatever, I can see it recasting those parts. But if they want to come back and they can still do the voice that you could tell was the character, then why didn't you just call them back? If you're a fan.
If you're a fan, yeah, right. Since the original show was released, there's been more emphasis in voiceover, in VO, that'd be voiceovers, to match actors' ethnic, racial background. In 2020.
On Reddit there is, in these far leftist places, but most people don't care.
God, this is insane. ATLA is a fictional world, but there are cultural influences for each nation and kingdom, and we wanted to explore the talent from those groups. Look, this isn't the live action version of Avatar. I fully agree that the live action version of Avatar was woefully miscast, right? We had characters that were obviously based on indigenous people being very, very pasty ass white, and frankly,
in the
not
movie,
very,
you mean?
in the movie, the original
Yes.
movie, the Shyamalan movie. Yeah. Wasn't very good. Casting was not good. Actually, I think the actors in the Netflix series are pretty good. That being said, these are voice actors. They can be anyone. And you're like, hey, we want to have this huge nostalgia trip. We want your money. We want all the fans to come back. We want to milk this IP, but we're going to recast everybody from the cartoon because we don't want to be racist, which is racist.
Yeah, and they're saying there's ethnic, character is behind them. Like, they're based on culture. And I'm like, okay, well, what about anime? There's a lot of anime characters that technically it's all Asian, but there are a lot of characters within the shows that aren't Asian. And so what are you going to do there? You cast someone as Asian or cast somebody who's not Asian, because you're going to piss somebody off either way.
Yeah. So, that you're going to, okay, look, Avatar fans are incredibly protective of their IP. I think in this instance, given that they're voiceover roles and not, flesh and blood live action, I think people would prefer to have the original voice cast back. Call me crazy, but I think they would. But yeah, this whole thing started with Apu, with Hank Azaria, and he chose to step down. He chose to step down, right?
And then that's kicked it all off.
And that kind of kicked it off. Actually, it was kind of simmering, and then once 2020 and the Summer of Love happened, then everybody started stepping down. Yeah, here's BoJack. Let's see. These
Allison Brie, yeah.
Allison Brie. 11 times TV characters of color were voiced by white actors. Yeah, I was actually surprised. Cleveland, I had no idea Mike Henry was a white dude. I wasn't really paying attention. I don't really pay much attention to Family Guy. It's like, it's on. It's like, okay, whatever. But yeah, white guy, 20 some years, thrown overboard. King of the Hill. The Simpsons. Yeah, Harry Shearer, The Simpsons. Justin Roiland, he got gone for other reasons. Yeah. That was the whole thing. Rick and Morty, Susan Sarandon. I forgot she was even on the show. Bob's Burgers. Again, these are like, the entire cast of Avatar. Oh, for fuck's sake. So that's why they put them on blast.
No, you know what? Good luck. People are going to be pissed unless they sound exactly like them. If they can nail that, then maybe people don't care. But if they can't get it to sound right, they're gonna be mad. They're gonna say, that's not right. That's not right.
So let me remind you, we've talked about this before, that back in the 80s, we didn't care who was voicing a character. Like, you would hear these voices and you'd be like, okay, that's pretty cool. But Rainbow Bright, little blonde girl, was voiced by a black girl.
Yeah, didn't care.
Penny Gadget, voiced by Cree Summer, black girl. Shredder was voiced by Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. Didn't care. I mean, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, isn't it? We have a black man voicing an Asian character.
That's the one that's allowed. Yeah, that's allowed.
That's allowed because Phil Lamar can do it, right? Yeah. So, but they had colorblind casting back then, and I know the one voice acting casting director got in trouble for simply saying that she turns around, listens to the voice, looks at the character, and tries to imagine if that voice can come out of that character, if that's the right voice. And that's how it should be. I mean, we listened to this was years ago, but we were doing a thing for Shadowbinders, and we actually had several voice actors to pick from. Ultimately, didn't go through the whole thing, but we listened to just the voices. We didn't have headshots, and then the guy we picked turned out to be a black guy.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Didn't care.
But he got it. He understood the assignment. I didn't care. I was just like, no.
Yeah, he nailed it. So
that's the guy. Unfortunately, it didn't go forward. But that's the guy.
He got paid for what he did do. And the thing is, it's like, We don't care about that. This is what, do you fit the character? If you fit the character, yes, ultimately.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the Avatar characters, it's going to be a problem if they don't sound like themselves, because
it's going to be a huge
such
problem.
an iconic IP. It's been years and years and years. Still keeps coming back around to it. I hope at least if they're going to replace them, it's with people that sound like them.
Well, that's even more insulting, isn't it? Because that's what happened with Cleveland. They basically got a sound-alike off of YouTube. There was a black guy, and I mean, and they tried to be like, you tell he was being kind of like, hey, I'm really honored to pass the baton. And it's like, no, this is Disney making you do it. You didn't do this willingly, dude. You didn't play this character for 20 some years and just like pass the baton to some rando off of YouTube, right? They told you had to step down, because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but that's even more insulting, because it's like they're aping your voice, right? I mean, you have Grey DeLisle. So, boy, this is going to be complicated, isn't it? Grey DeLisle got incredibly ass mad. She plays Azula. She got incredibly ass mad because she thought an independent animator was using AI to copy her Daphne voice, and actually turned out it was the original Daphne and not her. So this is complicated. Hey, great, we're going to go hire somebody that sounds just like you to play Azula in the
It has to be an
follow-up.
Asian person, yeah.
Has to, but she's going to be Asian. She's just like you, but Asian. Are you okay with that? And
Well,
you have
she's
to
going to
be.
say she's going to be.
You're going to have to
get
be.
your butt canceled if she doesn't. The whole thing's so stupid. I just think it's absolutely dumb, and I think they're going to have to match it very closely, or people are they're going to start screaming about it, because they're not going to notice until they go to listen to it, and then they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if Aang starts speaking with like a French accent or something,
Well,
it's
they're not
like,
going to
okay,
do that because he's obviously
that's
French,
wrong.
But you know
what I'm saying, like, he's French and Asian. He was available. Come on in. But and obviously they were going to recast him anyway, because I don't think the kid that played him does voice acting anymore. But yeah, it's just, I mean, this. I think it's stupid. I think this is a really.
I think it's stupid too, but
it's a really poor choice.
I think it's really dumb, and everybody else probably thinks it's really dumb too.
Yeah, this is a YouTuber who does the claymation or whatever, but he was talking about the situation with voice acting and how slippery the slope is once you start recasting people. But Quarter Black Garrett here says, trash decision, disrespectful to the cast that made the show great. Screw off with this. Jacob Airy, hey Jacob, no one gives a crap about that. Real fans want the original voice cast. Yeah, and they were deleting comments on Reddit too.
Oh, shocker!
Oh
they
my
would
God.
never.
You don't need to be the same skin color as the character you voice act. That's just simply retarded. Dante Bosco gets to keep playing Zuko just because he's Asian, but the rest of the talented actors don't get to reprise their roles because they're white. Stupid.
It is stupid.
Fuck them. Yeah, lost all interest in the movie. Screw this nonsense. This has to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Not gonna lie. Look, a little blue wave. Look, I don't think he's white either. Look at that. Not happy. Not happy with it. Where do you even find an actor from the Fire Nation?
That's perfect.
That's great.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. That wins.
This is not gonna go well for them. But like you said, I think that most people, most casuals, are not even gonna notice unless the voices sound very, very different. So we'll see what happens. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I know how the Avatar fans are.
Yeah.
Good luck with all that. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.